Hello and welcome to Diecast Restos. I'm Jason and this is a Corgi Austin Mini Metro which I'll be turning into a slightly more interesting MG version today. These were produced for Corgi's Juniors range between around the Metro's launch in 1980 and 1986. I wanted to enhance the model by turning it into the MG variants that arrived in 1982. This had a 20% power output increase on the standard 1275cc offering. I found these wheels before I found the car, thinking they were a very good match for this very 80s design. British Leyland had been planning for a replacement for the Mini since the early 70s, but due to funding issues, these concepts never progressed further than the design phase. Development of the car had been conducted under the codename ADO88 until 1977, where a redesign demanded the car be less utilitarian and more upmarket. It would become BL's first Supermini that would compete with the Ford Fiesta, Vauxhall Chevette and Volkswagen Polo. It also allowed for the original Mini to continue in production in basic trim as BL's entry-level model. As such, BL's Longbridge plant was expanded and robotised in 1978, ready for assembly of the new car. The name Metro was chosen following a ballot of BL employees. Train and bus manufacturer Metro Camel objected to the use of the name, resulting in the car being marketed initially as the Mini Metro. The car was sold under British Leyland's Austin brand. On launch, the Metro was offered with either a 998 or 1275cc petrol A-Series Plus engine, a design that dated back as far as 1951. Costs were controlled by utilising a symmetric dashboard design as seen on the Rover SD1 and Range Rover. This meant that the instrument binnacle could easily be mounted on the left or right hand side of the car, negating the requirement for separate dashboard mouldings. In Britain, there was a great deal of public interest in the Metro. BL had spared no effort in marketing it. Part of the iconic "A British Car to Beat the World" ad can be seen in this video's outro. In 1981, BL announced that the Metro range would be expanded to include more luxurious and performance versions. The following year marked the arrival of the Vandenpla luxury trim level on Austin models, while the MG badged car presented a comeback for the marque, having lay dormant since production of the MGB ended in 1980. The MG Metro's 1.3 litre engine had a modified cylinder head with larger valves and improved porting, altered cam profile, and a larger carburettor. This all led to its 20% increase in power output to 72 brake horsepower. It had a sporty interior with red seatbelts, red carpets, and a sports steering wheel. Later in 1982, at that year's Birmingham Motor Show, the MG Metro Turbo was unveiled. This offered 93 brake horsepower and boasted a 0 to 60 mph time of 9.9 seconds with a top speed of 112. In addition to the turbocharger, this model had an uprated exhaust system with sodium-cooled valves, stiffer suspension, and an improved crankshaft. Turbos also received alloy wheels, wheel arch extensions, a front spoiler, and prominent turbo branding. It retained the original Metro's rear drum brakes, but the front discs were changed to ventilated ones. I'll be turning this model into the standard non-turbo MG Metro as seen in the image earlier, including its diamond white paintwork and MG decals. In its peak year in 1983, the Metro sold 130,000 units in Britain. It was only outsold by the Ford Escort and Sierra, two larger class cars. The Metro received a facelift in 1984. MG versions received colour-coded bumpers. All models had wider suspension subframes and new larger dashboard mouldings to match the Maestro and Montego. It also saw the launch of the 5-door Metro. As time went on, the lack of a 5-speed gearbox became a major drawback compared to its competitors. But that didn't stop the Metro being a huge seller in Britain. Between 1980 and 1990, more than 1 million sold there, with only Ford's Escort outselling it. This is where naming conventions become a little complicated. So a van version of the Metro was sold under the Morris marque between 1982 and 1985. After that point, it was sold as the Austin Metro 310. Then in 1987, the Austin brand was shelved after BL was renamed to the Rover Group the year prior. This meant that the Metro was now sold effectively without a mark. Cars were badged simply as Metro, except for the MG models. That mark would remain for now. The van variant was now being sold as Metro Van 310. After a completely redesigned concept had been mooted as a Metro replacement during the 80s, Rover opted to instead restyle and re-engineer the existing Metro. In 1990, the new Rover Metro would launch, dropping the aging A-Series engines in favour of the new K-Series 1.1 and 1.4 litre units. Also dropped was the MG Metro, with the 1.4 GTI becoming the performance option. Rover also borrowed a 1.4 litre diesel from PSA in 1993, as used in its competitors the Citroën AX and Peugeot 106. The new Metro had plastic front and rear bumpers, new front wings, new headlamps, bonnet, new taillights and boot lid. It received a slightly updated interior with improved fit and finish, with the car's general build quality helping it to win What Car's 1991 Car of the Year award. A revised version arrived in 1994 that dropped the Metro name in favour of the 100 badge. The mechanics of the 100 remained much the same, though the 1.4 litre diesel was replaced by a Peugeot-derived 1.5. The exterior was updated with new front and rear bumpers to disguise the car's age, with a new Rover family grille the biggest difference. A variety of bolder body colours and chrome trim helped to give the 100 a more upmarket appearance. Similarly, the interior was retrimmed, but it was showing its age compared to its modern competitors, being significantly short on space. It was also technologically lacking, with front electric windows only available on the range-topping 114 GSI, while ABS or power steering were never an option. Safety was also coming up short, with only an optional driver's airbag, alarm, immobiliser, central locking and side intrusion beams. It performed poorly in Euro NCAP crash tests, and it was rapidly falling behind competitors in terms of build quality, refinement and specification. However, it did offer good fuel economy and affordability. But with a sales collapse and no replacement in the pipeline, Rover would withdraw the 100 in 1997. The larger Rover 200 would act as an indirect successor to the 100. This meant that the original Mini, which continued in production until 2000, outlasted the car that had been designed to replace it. Including the 100, over 1.5 million Metros were sold in Britain. This continues to make it one of the most popular vehicles ever sold there. I haven't touched on the MG Metro's 6R4 rally car that was designed for Group B rally competition in 1984. I'm sure I'll go into detail about the 3-litre V6 mid-engined monster in a future video though. There isn't much info online about the variations on the Corgi Juniors Metro, though it did have some issues with turbo tampos, nodding towards those versions being loosely based on the MG. Alongside the metallic blue, it could be found in a light metallic or flat blue, red with Fire Chief or Royal Mail tampos, black with turbo tampos, or white with number 5, 8 or 77 data post liveries, or with turbo or minicab tampos. The taxi tampos may be a bit of a reach for a Metro. I'm sure there are more out there, but we are running out of time in this video to investigate. This is how the Metro looked before I took to turning it into a slightly spicier MG version. The model is a decent representation of the non-turbo Metro, though its scale is slightly larger than some other Corgi Juniors models. This makes it look as though the wheels are a bit too small for the casting. But since the real Austin Metro had wheels starting at 12 inches, the proportions really aren't that far off. Let's lose them anyway for some custom ones. Here then is my interpretation of the MG Metro 1300, non-turbo I might add. I've painted in a colour similar to the diamond white of the original and teamed it with some MG decals. For the interior, I've copied the early MG design of a very 80s light grey and red combo. I've kept the tow hook at the back, Doubtless that someone back in the 80s would have used their MG to tow around their homemade trailer to the local tip and back every now and then. I have swapped out those dinky wheels for some far more snug-fitting crosshatch design rims reminiscent of the set on the Metro from the image. Being an early MG, I've also given it the black bumpers. At the video outro, I've got some old Metro footage from ads, so stick around to see that. I need ideas of what castings I should tackle next, so leave your suggestions in the comments. But all that leaves me to say is thanks for watching, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.